Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, TFG and Mike here, and sorry, once again, audio issues this week. I found out that my Pamela Call Recorder Pro had audio settings set to a different setting, which I have never changed, even when I've updated the software. But yeah, more audio issues as the episode here of this podcast will go on. It will degrade and whatever. So hopefully I now have this fixed. Hopefully next episode it won't be doing this. I've been TF2 and Mike, and I've just been losing my mind. Now, on to the show.
This is the worst day of my life!
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is Back Issue Classics, episode 74. I am, of course, TF2 and Mike, and joining me is Skeletor.
Hello, Mike. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. Why am I trying to talk like Skeletor? I can't talk like Skeletor.
I know, it's a bit tip.
Yes, of course, A-Das Baron, everybody.
Hi.
Best Skeletor since God, what's his name?
Alan Oppenheimer.
Thank you, yes. Alan Oppenheimer. Christ. I can't believe. Oh, God. It's been a rough couple of months, folks. Yeah, the last time we did one of these was back in June.
Whoa,
we did issues 7 and 8 back in June. We're going to be talking about the Eternia War, numbers 9 and 10 today. And over the next 2 months, over the next 8 weeks, the pull bag is going to go back and forth. Every other week is going to be an interesting, we're going to alternate episodes. So this week we're going to have Eternia War 9 and 10. Next week we're going to have Batman Beyond, the 2015 series done by Dan Jurgens and Bernard Chang. We're going to do the first story arc for that. It's going to be Steve Megatron and I doing that. And then the week after that we'll do the next Eternia War and blah, 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 blah. So the end of the year almost to the end of the year for the pull bag is going to be loincloths and batarangs.
Sexy. That's a dirty combination.
Yes, it is. So, issue number 9 of the Eternia War, the main cover, the only cover I think, because they don't do a lot of variant covers for this series, is Castle Grayskull, and the Masters and the Evil Warriors and all that stuff, and very cool cover done by Pop Mahan. I absolutely love it.
What I've noticed with a lot of these covers is that it seems like He-Man's hairstyle changes on almost every cover.
Yes, it does.
And I'm not sure if they intended it to, but the Castle Hordak center there, the way the beams of light are coming out the top and the bottom, it almost makes it seem like it's Hordak's sword or something like that, because the little purple thing jutting off on the side make it look like the hilt.
Yep. All you need is an Eye of Thundera in the center. Oops. We'll talk about that way later, folks. Yeah. So getting into this, we are left off. We start where we left off last time in issue 8, where Hordak has the power. He is the master of the universe, and basically the first, I'd say, 3 or 4 pages of the issue is showing us. Well, the first couple of pages is showing us how Hordak has taken over various worlds throughout the universe, and is showing that some people choose to be with Hordak, and other people obviously are going to rebel against him. And then we get a long thing of Teela narrating the events of the story here. What I love is the art. the art on the panel where she says, "Fear is spreading across the cosmos like a cancer. The Horde is about to claim its new dominion step by step. The Horde troopers look absolutely horribly awesome." I think they're Horde troopers.
The one where we have the main title? Okay.
Yeah. No. Right before the main title. Where she says, All others will sacrifice their bodies and souls to Hordak's new empire. So I don't think those are Horde troopers. They might be other warriors, other people from other planets, but they remind me of Horde troopers. And then the main part of the main title here is obviously Castle Grayskull, aka Castle Hordak, and that's really got to put a damper on the interior decorating, having that giant beam go through the whole thing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, no use for an incinerator.
Exactly. This is Eternity War Part 9, Dominion. Script is by Dan Abnett. Art by Pop Mahan. Colors by Mark Roberts. Deron Bennett is on letters. Pop did the cover. Story by Rob David, who I am now friends with on Facebook, and I'm going to point out all these podcasts to him. Hopefully he'll listen. So we go to the throne room of Eternos, where basically everybody is arguing over what they should do, because Adam is not there. And if you guys remember from last time we did one of these, basically Adam broke his sword, or had his sword broken, or gave back the power. He stopped being He-Man because of the whole future 30 years later thing and all that. So he is now Prince Adam, but he is nowhere to be found. In this scene, we have Ratlor, Mossman, and Fisto arguing amongst themselves.
Isn't Adam sitting there in the corner? Yeah, in that top panel. He's got the sword in his hand. The fragmented sword in his hand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so... Yeah, you're right. He's in the... You see his head in the bottom left-hand corner of the top panel, almost next to Mossman's ass. That's okay. Yeah, I didn't notice that at first. So yeah, but they're all arguing over what they should do, what kind of plan they should have, and this is where Adam walks up and basically says that Hordak wants him on his knees, and he, basically puts the sword in the table.
So,
and
when he stabs the table with the knife, what is all that red ethereal stuff coming out?
I think it's a projection. You know how sometimes they used to do holographic projections and things in the old He-Man series? I think it's a projection, but I could be wrong. I'm not back sure.
Pages, yeah. Going back. And when I ran through it the first time, in my head it clicked that it was like an aura coming off of him or something.
Yeah, it's not coming up off of him. It's coming up out of the... It doesn't look like it's coming off of him. It's supposed to basically... The only thing I can think of is it's mirroring like when the rebels looked at the Death Star plans, that hologram kind of thing, but it's not exactly that. So he puts a sword to the table and starts coughing, and he tells everybody to get out.
Do we know how old Adam is at this point? I forget if I've asked this in the past. Because even not as He-Man, he has a very manly-looking face. He doesn't look like a child.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm not sure. I don't know how old. I would say, let me look here. It really depends on the panel. I mean, like I know Pop draws him consistently, but it really does depend on the angle of his face. That's where it depends. Is the angle of the face or the angle of the shot for whatever quote unquote camera a comic book might have. But yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird. So he starts coughing and he tells them to all get out, and he's considering surrendering. We then go to Grayskull, where Hordak is at the Fires of Eternity, and they're ushering in the age of Horikoth, and he's got Evelyn by his side, and I love the reference. I had a consort once, a weaver of shadows, but she is no more. It's hilarious. Yeah. Very on the nose. And basically, he's proposing to Evelyn.
Always the best ever.
An Eternian marriage.
He just,
oh my God.
He looks like he's been chugging too much creatine. He is so thick, even for Masters physiques.
Yeah.
But I do like how his word bubbles seem to be just nothing but red, and it just kind of takes over each panel. You can feel this newly granted power unto him just by the word bubbles.
Oh, absolutely. And I think they did that on purpose, and I like that they did that on purpose. So we then get to, we see them trying to usher in the age of Harakoth, and all of a sudden one of the stormtroopers, one of the Horde troopers kills one of the other Horde people, and we have a revolt happening, and they don't know why. And a huge battle amongst the bad guys ensues, and Evelyn starts chanting the Harakoth,
Sir Penoroth.
Sir Penoroth and Eternia. She starts chanting that as this giant battle for Grayskull is happening, and we've got all the various villains, some staying with Hordak, others betraying him. I'm seeing Modulok here. I think that's awesome. And Triclops deactivates the shield. Meanwhile, Evelyn steps into the fire.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
Quite literally, she's standing in fire. And it's a huge tragedy face. I'm like, where's the comedy part? If you look at the panel where she says Harakoth and she's standing on the pulpit of eternity, the face there, it's got a huge frown on it.
Well, I guess he wasn't too pleased with the sight that he got from the front view there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we have more of this battle, and Hordak's like, who orchestrates this? Show yourself. Who is my true enemy here? And enter
me,
the true villain of Eternia.
Me.
That's right.
It's
Skeletor.
If it's not Skeletor, then they go to Hordak. And then Hordak gets betrayed, or Skeletor comes back from the dead. It's a never-ending battle between those two.
The one thing that I've loved about the DC Comics Masters stuff since we started with the 2012 miniseries way back when we first started doing these is, yeah, you're right. It is usually a back and forth between Hordak and Skeletor. But that's what Masters has always been all about when it comes to villains. There's not really a third or fourth villain, like major villain. Like there have been other major villains in Masters of the Universe over the years, but when it comes to the villains, it always comes down to Hordak and Skeletor. When it comes down to the heroes, it's always He-Man and She-Ra. That's just the way it's always been. And what I love about this whole DC Comics Masters continuity is how they take what has already existed and make it into a new story. Like, you don't just have a retelling of how Hordak and Skeletor were going to steal the babies of Eternia and Adam got saved, but Adora did. You don't have that whole thing. You have a whole different angling storyline. And the same thing here, where Hordak's actions of the past, of him stealing all the souls, comes back to haunt him when the souls are now returned to all the Horde troopers and all the other people across the universe. And Skeletor is going to eventually use those souls, but not as soldiers. The whole story here is just, for me, it's very... For someone who has been watching Filmation, He-Man, and She-Ra for the last almost 5 years over on the Power of Grayskull series with Optimus Soul and I, we've been reviewing all those cartoon episodes. Thank God for these comics for actually interesting storytelling. Don't get me wrong, the old He-Man and She-Ra cartoons have interesting episodes, but they also have a lot of bad badly
Like, you don't
written,
like Shut
badly
Down?
executed episodes as well.
Like, you don't like Shut Down? Or, God, what was
Wait, huh?
whatever the
Who?
clown was. Or, God, whatever the clown was.
Oh, no clowns. Clowns are evil. The only clown that matters is the Joker.
Than a clown. He's more of an entertainer than a clown.
Yeah. Okay, so the radio show that I used to listen to here, they're no longer on the air, sadly. They were talking about all the negative clown things recently about here in Louisville, apparently, or in Kentucky somewhere. There were clowns out in the woods and whatever else, and I called in and I said, with all these clowns getting all this hate, they're going to need a lot of clownseling. So as the story progresses, we have Skeletor versus Hordak, which is really, really nicely done. I love all the angles between between Hordak punching him, choking him, and then the reveal. Right before we recorded this, the reveal of Evelyn as the new sorceress of Horikoth, that giant panel there with her standing over Hordak, that is one bad. Thank you, Pop Mahan and Mark H. Roberts. That is one badass panel. I love that.
Even though every time we get a new iteration of Masters, as much as I love these characters, the stories get a little stagnant, as in they kind of use the characters as a crutch, and they can't really advance the story that much. But in the case of Teela and now Evelyn, they seem to put, at least with those two characters, they seem to be pushing it. But it's, where is this going to go down the line? How we know this is a limited run eventually, but how far can you grow this franchise?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's kind of the crutch of the franchise. It's not really the crutch of the franchise. It's the fact that DC Comics will say one thing and then do another. It's like, when someone tells me that a new ongoing, not a mini-series, but a new ongoing He-Man series is going to happen, regardless of sales, and I know sales is a big thing, obviously, but regardless of sales, why couldn't you just said, instead of calling it an ongoing, why don't you just call it a 15-issue miniseries or something? Like, I was when this whole thing ended, I was genuinely shocked, because it's been a while since issue 15 came out, and we'll get to that in a few weeks here. But it's one of those things where when I look at the solicitations from any comic company, and there are certain books that I follow that I expect to see, the next issue. And I forget which month it was, but whatever month it was, I'm like, oh wait, where's Eternia War? And I asked my buddy Eric Shea from Weird Science DC Comics blog. He's like, oh yeah, it ended. I'm like, what? Wait, really? Oh god, that's depressing. Because let's face it, like even before Rebirth, because I haven't checked out a lot of the Rebirth titles. Before Rebirth happened, there were maybe 3 DC Comics series that I was reading. Batman Beyond, Batman.
I had a handful of ones that I was into right after the New 52, and then I couldn't keep up with it anymore. Right after the New 52, and then I couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah. So we have Evelyn essentially double-crossing Hordak, Skeletor killing Hordak, and thanking his evil warriors and Trapjaw, Beastman, and Triclops. And we have Skeletor basically saying that, or Evelyn saying that he is the master of death.
I do have to say,
we go back to Eternos where Adam
says he was the master of death, and he has the ram's head right in front of his face. Oh my god, it lines up perfectly, and it's gorgeous. He has the ram's head right in front of his face. Oh my god, it lines up perfectly, and it's gorgeous.
Yes, it is. Well, if you remember, remember is it issue 8, issue 7? I forget which one it is, where they have the flashback panel of all the various versions of Skeletor throughout the multiverse. If you remember, that whole time travel thingamajig, originally that's what Skeletor looked like. He had a ram's head. And then Hordak, I guess, cut his ears off? I don't remember. Or his horns off or something, I don't remember. Yeah, something like that, I don't remember. So Tila tells, we go back to Eternos, and Tila tells him to seek out Zodak, and Adam just goes off on the sorceress and tells her to leave him, and then we have Adam and Skeletor, which is really, really nice because it's been a long time since I've seen these two together in a scene. I think the last time was, again, I think it was the 2012 miniseries. Absolutely love these, love the panels, love the art from the artists here, but just the whole discussion of, who each of them is just
it's
so
finally
interesting.
good to
what
see
did you
them
think of this whole
back at each other. Adam never puts that sword down. Back at each other. And then the one panel which I could almost describe as like Kirby bubbles emanating from Skeletor. I love how the shape of them match the shape of his cape that's kind of fanning out. Kind of an explosion.
Yeah. Kind of an explosion. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The interesting thing here is this is almost at the end of the issue here. Skeletor basically tells him, very well, come face me then. Face me if you dare, He-Man. And they put He-Man in quotes. So you know Skeletor is being kind of mocking to him. And he says, you will find me at Castle Grayskull. In the end, it all comes down to us. Yes, you and me. And of course, this is where I kind of check out. Because we got a to be continued. And we got a snake's tongue. And basically, they're telling the same story that they told before, where King Hiss takes over a body, and he's now taken over Adam's body, and oh my God! Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the Snake Men in the old days and everything else, but I just find them to be a crutch at this point. Skeletor and Hordak, you know what they want. They want to take over the world in various ways. They want, something to do with world domination in one way or another. With King Hiss and the Snake Men, I've never, and maybe people can explain this to me, I've never understood what their motivation is, why they want to do whatever the hell it is they do, and I don't really get a lot of explanation most of the time.
Well,
which kind of
as
sucks.
We'll find out in the next issue, it still seems like the Snake Men or King Hiss's motivations are totally unclear, and his people don't seem to care about him anymore, but they don't have allegiance to him, so, It just brings up a lot of questions. They don't have allegiance to him, so,
Yeah.
It just brings up a lot of questions.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to get into issue 10. We'll give ratings for both issues at the end of the podcast. So issue number 10, the main cover is Skeletor has the last power.
Issue 9,
this is
Skeletor
awesome.
mentioned something about he was the He-Man of Legacy or of Prophecy. So that was a little twist on something I never had thought of.
Right.
He always seemed like a villain that was just, I want the power, but he would never consider himself He-Man.
Yeah.
He always seemed like a villain that was just, I want the power, but he would never consider himself He-Man.
Yeah. And then they do this and basically dress Skeletor up in classic 80s He-Man loincloth and chest piece.
Hey, Super 7,
classic
get
sword.
This figure?
Not the Conan sword.
Hey, Super 7, can we get this figure?
I know, right? Yeah.
Well, they seem
good old
to be
Super 7.
off
Anything's
ground
better
running.
than Matty Collector.
They seem to be getting off on a ground running.
That's always good. Starting off issue 10, we have this giant speech from King Adam, and it's funny because you have, as this first couple of pages, as this speech goes on, as we're starting this issue at the Palace of Eternos, we have various shots of the crowd and various shots of him, but we don't actually see him. But he's essentially putting armor on, and it's the snake armor. And we eventually get a full-on shot of Adam.
Well, I saw the one
in the snake armor
of the pincher, so I thought he would have that traditional 2000X snake armor. And it's revealed that he's wearing King Hiss's entire outfit.
Yeah.
It's revealed that he's wearing King Hiss's entire outfit.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
That and
he's basically saying, "Hey, look,
quite large in this,
King
so
Hiss
I don't
is
know
back."
if this is kind of like the Batflex suit where it's made to accentuate his body, almost like it's a shell, or is he that big? To accentuate his body, almost like it's a shell.
Yeah.
Is he that big?
Adam. Okay, so we all know in various versions, whether it's Filmation, whether it's 2000X, whatever. Adam has always been, I would say Filmation in a lesser extent. I mean, he does change, but there's not that much difference between Adam and He-Man in Filmation as far as his body type. But, they're basically taking Adam here throughout this entire DC Comics continuity and basically showing him as the 2000X cartoon version, where he is smaller than He-Man, where the power infuses him and makes him stronger. So I think that's kind of the thing that they're doing here, is they're doing a take on, I have the power, even though he has no sword. So, could be. So, He-Man the Eternia War, Part 10, Defiance, Abnett and Mahan on writing and art, and Mark H. Roberts on colors. We go to Castle Grayskull, and the legions of the Horde perish, and Skeletor is letting them feed his Havoc staff.
Yeah, so Evelyn is still this priestess of Horikoth, right? So is that what is keeping Castle Grayskull the way it is?
Yep.
So is that what is keeping Castle Grayskull the way it is?
I assume so, because you can't. I don't think you can really turn it into a skull. I don't think. Well,
in typical fashion,
there was a skull. I don't think you can turn it into a skull.
And everything turns back to normal. But here, it's still kind of that Fright Zone-ish. And everything turns back to normal.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Well, I think with destroying Hordak, it's destroyed his control over the souls of the people, which then feed Skeletor, which, I guess he still controls the power of the souls, which means he can keep up the
deep down.
All
the power that Hordak received through this, he's dead. Where's that going to go? Evelyn's the priestess of Horikoth. It just seems like she may be the conduit for all of this now. Evelyn's the priestess of Horikoth. It just seems like she may be the conduit for all of this now.
Yeah, I could agree to that. So we get Skeletor talking to the War Wraith.
Was this from something?
If anyone doesn't remember, the War Wraith is Man-at-Arms.
Was this from something before?
I don't remember. I know something happened to him earlier with him and Roboto and all that and everything else. I remember that, but I don't remember exactly what. Because we haven't seen him in so damn long.
Yeah.
So, I'm not exactly sure. So Skeletor sends him to basically kill Adam. And we have a scene where Evelyn is shedding a tear, and Skeletor asks her, "A tear for Adam, I trust? No, I weep for the goddess. I sense hesitancy in her conflict. Another part of the goddess is weeping over the end of what that is to come. And Skeletor basically sends her to go. Well, he doesn't actually send her. He basically says, hey, so you're the conduit. Can she hear me if I'm talking through you? And he sends the goddess a message, and that message is not exactly very comforting at all. We go more into the Fright Zone because guess what, folks? Every incarnation of Masters has to have the Dragon Walkers.
Are able to twist it a little more so it's a little more. I think they embrace the absurdity of it and of a force to be reckoned with. It's a hell of a lot larger than you remember the toy being. Of a force to be reckoned with. It's a hell of a lot larger than the toy being.
At least in the comic, they work better than when they did an animation. Because I remember, again, last almost 5 years now covering Filmation He-Man and She-Ra, I remember the Dragon Walker episode of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe from Filmation. I could not stand the Dragon Walkers. Oh my god. So damn slow in the cartoon. It's like, oh, we'll take the Dragon Walkers. We'll get there in no time. 45 days later, they finally get to wherever the hell they're going. But here in this, using the Dragon Walkers as, the back half of them as a weapon, I absolutely love that. I think that's great. The art, again, is amazing on this. And it's basically a giant fight between the Snake Men and the Wraith. The War Wraith shows up, and is that what is that razor thing called? Oh God, you told me the other day.
The Rotar?
The Rotar, there you go. It shows up on the Rotar. And we then go to, I understand they want to create breaks or kind of like cliffhangery moments, like with this whole, this whole War Wraith thing showing up at the end on the Rotar or the Roton or whatever it is. And death has found you, death sees you. And then we go to She-Ra.
We haven't seen in 2 issues? Because I completely forgot.
I think issue 7 or I forget which one. I think it was issue 7 that we last saw her. So
completely forgot that this happened.
Yeah, she is stuck in the Lost Souls affinity, and we have this mysterious voice speaking to her saying, Adora, do not despair. Your story is not yet told. You will know when you find me, She-Ra. At the end of darkness, there's always the light of hope. And we have the Crystal Castle. I love this. Again, this is why I love this overall continuity in series, being able to throw in various homages and nods to what's already come.
Here's Light Hope.
Basically introducing Light Hope without actually introducing him.
The toy form. He is one of the coolest looking things on my shelf. We get the iteration of him that we got in the toy form.
Yeah.
He is one of the coolest looking things on my shelf.
Yeah, he is. Very awesome. And then Teela shows up and pulls She-Ra out of the Village of Lost Souls, and we go back to the Dragon Walker battle, and we find out that Mossman is going to sacrifice himself because he is a god, and, apparently all gods must be sacrificed to save the world. So he basically, his goodness, his whatever you want to call it, his mossiness dives into the ground and basically erases all of the Fright Zone on Eternia,
variations,
turning it into the Evergreen Forest.
Do stuff similar and not having to sacrifice his life. Why did he have to kill himself? I feel like since he has control essentially over the core of the entire planet, he could have just tapped into it and gotten rid of all this in the first place. Since he has control essentially over the core of the entire planet, he could have just tapped into it and gotten rid of all this in the first place.
I think he said in the last issue that he could feel the evil coming out of the Fright Zone, just coming out of the planet itself. And I think this was way too big for just doing that, not sacrificing himself, basically giving all of his power to save the planet. So I think that's what it is that there's just too much evil and not enough good, and the only way to do that is for him to kill himself. I guess. I don't know. So we have King Adam basically saying, thank you, thanks for the sacrifice of an old friend. Our way is clear to... And he runs off into the woods, and is that Ratlor? I think that's... Yes, it is Ratlor. Ratlor says, I knew it. You are King Hiss. And King Hiss decides to kill him. Okay, so no more Ratlor. Great.
What is the end game?
Once again, no explanation.
He seems to be all about Eternia existence and whatnot. So I don't know if he wants to
even know what the
bring
end game
back
is.
the age of Eternia or something like that.
Eternia existence and whatnot. So I don't know if he wants to bring back the age of Eternia or something like that.
Yeah, again, it's never clearly stated, at least not in these that we've seen, at least not that I've seen. If it is clearly stated, someone please let me know. But he essentially kills Ratlor and walks off, or tries to walk off, and the war wraith shows up, and that's how this one ends, with the war wraith standing over him, and Adam's like,
what is up with that?
Huh? So, issue 10.
And it seems like he has painting on the outside of his armor.
Yeah,
which,
I don't know.
Neon blood or something.
I honestly have
But then when he removes the helmet, it looks like he's crying and drooling the same stuff.
Painting on the outside of his armor, which, neon blood or something.
Yeah.
But then when he removes the helmet, it looks like he's crying and drooling the same stuff.
Andor to come in and resolve this whole issue. Greetings, true believers.
I don't know. I'm not even sure, honestly.
Andor to come in and resolve this whole issue. Greetings, true believers.
Yeah, something like that. I don't even really know. These two issues, they are connected, but the story is just so...
It seems like there are a lot of shocking character twists on top of shocking character twists that are just that. They're not fully resolved or anything yet. So, are they all going to have to culminate in the last issue or something like that? It just... It's revealing new stuff, but not moving anything forward.
Are they all going to have to culminate in the last issue?
Or it's not resolving anything.
It's revealing new stuff, but not moving anything forward.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not resolving anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what this is supposed to resolve or where this is leading. Like, we talked about how connected issues 5 and 6 seem to be, how disjointed issues 7 and 8 seem to be. And these, they're not connected, they are connected, but they're not disjointed, but at the same time, there's no direction.
How quickly the whole Hordak thing ended. But then again, Skeletor...
No direction, really?
Defeats them, so where's that going to go? It just seems like, isn't that kind of what Skeletor was trying to do in the beginning? Just retreading old water.
Defeats them, so where's that going to go? Seems like, isn't that kind of what...
And then the whole She-Ra thing, a number of issues ago, she's sent off to this dimension, and she spends little...
kind of.
2 pages in there, and then she's pulled out. So with the exception of Light Hope contacting her, there almost seemed to be no point in doing that.
2 pages?
Yeah.
In there, and then she's pulled out. So with the exception of Light Hope contacting her, there almost seemed to be no point in doing that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This series is, while I love all the homages and the art is amazing, the writing is just, it seems like all they're trying to do is give the fans fan wanks. I mean, the story is good and interesting, but it's not like a superb story. And I don't know if, and again, somebody please explain to me, what is the difference of Dan Abnett writing the script and the story being done by Rob David? It's, like, I know the difference between like a storyboard, like a story consultant and an actual writer. Like, I know the difference between that, but what's the difference between having a story by somebody, which to me it makes it sound like story by Rob David, makes to me sound like he's already written it.
So it's like written
down
by and then
as what the story is supposed to be, and Abnett's going back and just scripting it out.
It just seems like there's a disconnect.
I don't know how the hell that works.
So it's like written by and then screenplay by.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like.
It just seems like there's a disconnect between the two.
And it's the same thing as I said last time. Back in June when we did 7 and 8, it seems like there's two different, and that might be the case, two different people writing this comic, and I don't know. The whole King Hiss thing, like I said before, if it told me what his plot was, or if it had, like, the whole time between Skeletor and Hordak in these two issues, we see Hordak's side of it. He wants to enslave the world. He wants to take over the entire universe. We see Skeletor's side of it. He wants to do that, but he wants to do it in a way where instead of having all the souls and armies go out and take over the world, he wants self-conquest for himself, and he's basically being selfish and stingy, and like a little 10-year-old wants the power to all to himself so he can do it himself. Mm-hmm. So I understand they get that, but you throw King Hiss into the mix just to say, hey, here's King Hiss, the character you used to love.
Slightly different stories, and then
I don't get it.
Who would you say is Popman wrote it?
Each of the
okay, well, when they adapted for teleplay, but for comics, then they're reminded, oh wait, the original writer had this in there. Oh, okay, well, just throw it in there.
Then they're reminded, oh wait, the original writer had this in there. Oh, okay, well, just throw it in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want to really love this series. I've wanted to really love all of the DC He-Man stuff, and I've enjoyed several aspects of it throughout its history since 2012 or 2010 or whatever it was, but it just seems like when they get a good part of the story going, they then throw in something that basically throws in a giant wrench to it. So I don't know. Issue number 9. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I guess.
Assume the first one is the better of the two, so let's go with a 3.
What about you?
The second one maybe a 2.5.
I'm not sure which was the better of the two. I would assume the first one is the better of the two, so let's go with a 3.
Okay.
The second one maybe a 2.5.
Yeah, I gotta go with a 2 out of 5 on issue 10. As much as awesome as that cover is with Skeletor, I Have the Power, that just... You can have an awesome cover and a really crappy storytelling piece. Again, I'm not saying anything negative about the art. Pop Mahan and Mark H. Roberts on art is absolutely amazing. So
I don't know necessarily what's going on behind the scenes.
It's just
where
a
they
story
could
that
deadlines,
needs
things have to be
work.
truncated.
So, go ahead.
I don't know necessarily what's going on behind the scenes where they could be given deadlines, things have to be truncated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Coming up next on the pull bag, we're going to be doing, Steve and I are going to be doing Batman Beyond issues 1 through 6, which is the Brave New Worlds storyline of the 2015 Batman Beyond series written by Dan Jurgens with art by Bernard Chang. After that, Das will be back we're going to talk, oh god, this is going to kill us. We're going to talk about issues 11, 12, and 13 of He-Man the Eternity War.
Well,
so
if you have
that's
any
going to be fun. So that'll happen in 2 weeks. Batman Beyond is next
New
week.
Jersey, Delaware,
what have you got
even
going on?
New York,
You've been to any conventions lately or anything like that?
Yeah.
Well, if you have any
I will be appearing at Thy Geekdom Con, which is in Wilmington, Delaware, on November 5th.
That would be a quad
bringing
state.
to you live the Dr. Doom Telethon. Doom, a telethon to benefit the greater Latverian good. So it'll be Dr. Doom pleading for your loyalty and gracious cash donations with many special cosplay guests and other various characters.
A female He-Man! Oh, this is the worst day of my life!
We've told the tales of Eternia, and now we head to a different dimension to explore the myths of Etheria. Join Optimus, Solo, and TFG and Mike as they continue their Mo2 journey by exploring She-Ra, Princess of Power. 35 podcast episodes covering the entire run of She-Ra, the Christmas special, and more. You can find Myths of Etheria on iTunes and www.geekcastradio.com. For the honor of Grayskull, we all have the power.
Alright folks, we are back here on the Pullbag. Thank you for joining us. There are several ways to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com. Send us email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. You can also listen to us on Blog Talk Radio. You can find me on Twitter at TFG1Mike. You can find the Pullbag on Twitter at the Pullbag. Also at Geekcast Radio for all the other network updates. What is your Twitter?
ADOS Baron, but I can't even tell you the last time I was on Twitter. Most of my time is spent on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, Facebook is facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network. Did you want to give yours out or no?
Go ahead. I think Facebook is ADOS Baron, A.DASBARON. I believe the same can be said for my Instagram. You can also visit ThyGeekdomCon, ThyGeekdomcon.com to find out more information about my show. And if you visit my YouTube channel, which is listed just under Das Baron, you'll be able to see the promo that I shot for my appearance.
Yes, awesome. Also, I believe regularly now, I don't know if they're doing 4 episodes in one day now or what they're doing over there at the TW0, but you can catch Das every time Board, the show, has an episode, since he is the theme song singer over there.
Oh, it feels like ages ago.
Well, they're doing season 4 now, and you're still the theme song singer, so...
As long as they kept me around.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not sure if it's this season or the next season where they include another one of my songs. So.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. Make your great escape into comics. We will catch you next time for Batman Beyond, Brave New Worlds, coming up here inside the Pullbag.
You've just heard the latest episode of the Pullbag, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you're leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.